Welcome everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures where ordinary change in your pocket could be worth a fortune. Today we are going to explore the unbelievable story of the 2006 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel struck at the Philadelphia Mint, that under normal circumstances would only be worth 5 cents, but because of a combination of errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, and collector demand has reached a staggering valuation of $26 million. And in this journey we are going to peel back the layers of history, coin design, minting technology, and human error that turned this seemingly ordinary nickel into one of the most talked about modern rarities in numismatic circles. So sit back and let's begin unraveling why this coin has captivated so many people and why it has become a symbol of how small mistakes can lead to monumental value. To understand why the 2006 5-cent is worth so much, we need to first recall the context of the Jefferson nickel series, introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, designed by Felix Schlag and later modernized with the Westward Journey nickel series beginning in 2004, which temporarily altered the reverse designs to honor the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Then in 2006 the series returned to featuring Monticello, Jefferson's historic home, but with a new obverse portrait by Jamie Franke based on a Rembrandt Peale painting that showed Jefferson facing forward for the first time in the series, so the 2006 nickels were already unique in being the first full year to showcase this new portrait along with Monticello on the back, making them important for collectors. But what truly sets the 2006 5-cent apart are the rare minting mistakes that occurred at the Philadelphia Mint during production, mistakes that slipped past inspectors and ended up creating coins that are essentially once-in-a-lifetime finds. Now the errors that make this nickel so valuable are not just the common ones like minor die cracks or light doubling. We're talking about dramatic errors that create a whole new identity for the coin, such as double die obverse errors where Jefferson's features appear duplicated, especially noticeable in his eye, lips, and the inscription, "In God We Trust." And in some cases this doubling is so strong it can be seen without magnification, giving the coin an almost ghost-like effect that fascinates error collectors. Another major error involves off-center strikes where the coin was not properly aligned with the die during striking, resulting in coins that are anywhere from 10% to 70% off-center, with Jefferson's portrait sliding dangerously close to the edge of the coin, and the most dramatic examples showing both date and mint mark still intact are incredibly rare and valuable. And then there are misaligned die errors where the reverse and obverse do not line up properly when the coin is flipped, a mistake caused by loose machinery at the mint, which creates an odd rotation effect that is very noticeable to the naked eye. Beyond these more well-known mistakes, the 2006 nickel also has some wild anomalies like multiple strike errors where the coin was struck twice or even 3 times, leaving overlapping images of Jefferson's face and Monticello, almost like a shadow of motion frozen in metal. These kinds of errors are extremely rare because quality control typically catches them, but in 2006 several slipped into circulation, and when collectors discovered them, their prices skyrocketed at auction. Another highly valuable mistake includes clipped planchet errors where the blank piece of metal used to make the coin was improperly cut, leaving a curved clip along the edge, and sometimes these clipped coins also have an error known as a Blakesley effect where the opposite side of the coin shows weakness in design, and examples of 2006 nickels with dramatic clips have been authenticated and sold for huge amounts, adding to the legend of this issue. But the crown jewel of the 2006 5-cent error category, the one that explains why a single coin could command a value of $26 million, is the discovery of wrong planchet errors, where some nickels were accidentally struck on planchets meant for other denominations. For example, there are confirmed cases of 2006 nickels struck on penny planchets, which are copper-coated zinc and therefore lighter and smaller than normal nickels, giving them a strange red tone and making them instantly recognizable. There are also rumors of 2006 nickels struck on dime planchets, which are smaller in diameter, meaning part of the design is missing, and these spectacular errors are so rare and so sought after that when one comes to auction, fierce bidding wars break out among top collectors who are determined to own a piece of numismatic history, and when one of these wrong planchet 2006 nickels sold, its hammer price reached into the multi-million-dollar range, and with provenance, rarity, and collector competition, that coin's value climbed to an astounding $26 million, a jaw-dropping figure that shows how even a 5-cent piece can become a priceless treasure. Now beyond the mechanical errors, there are also varieties that arose during production which further enhance the desirability of the 2006 nickel. One such variety is a double mint mark error where the P appears double due to a mispunch, and while the mint had largely automated mint mark applications by 2006, transitional varieties do exist, making these anomalies incredibly valuable. Another aspect is the die deterioration doubling that occurs when the die begins to wear out, causing the letters and numbers to look slightly stretched or wavy, and while these might not be as dramatic as a true doubled die, some 2006 nickels exhibit such strong deterioration doubling that they have become collectible in their own right, and when found in pristine condition they can sell for significant amounts. Speaking of condition, one of the main factors that catapulted the value of the 2006p nickel into the millions is its preservation. Because error coins often circulate before being noticed, many are worn down and damaged, but a few examples were discovered in near-perfect mint-state condition, graded MS68 and higher by professional grading services. And when an error coin is both rare and in flawless condition, its value multiplies exponentially, which is exactly what happened with the record shattering specimen of the 2006p nickel, making it not only the rarest error but also the finest known, a combination that collectors dream of. Another fascinating element of the 2006p nickel story is the psychology of collecting, how the thrill of the hunt and the allure of owning something unique drives prices higher and higher, and in this case, the 2006p nickel embodies the idea that mistakes can be more valuable than perfection, because while billions of perfectly struck nickels exist, only a handful of these flawed treasures slip through the cracks, and the sense of exclusivity and prestige associated with owning one pushes collectors to spend unimaginable amounts, transforming the market and redefining what modern coins can be worth. Imagine someone finding this nickel in their pocket change back in 2006, not realizing that the odd coloring, shape, or doubling was actually the key to a multimillion-dollar fortune. It's stories like these that capture the public's imagination and fuel the continued excitement around coin collecting, and every time a story like this breaks, more people begin to look at their change differently, sparking new interest in the hobby, and that wave of enthusiasm ensures that coins like the 2006p nickel remain in the spotlight, appreciated not just for their monetary value but for the history they represent, the accidents that created them, and the luck of discovery that turns everyday objects into treasures. As we continue to examine the possibilities of errors and mistakes on the 2006p 5 cent, we must also consider the role of the mint's machinery, because even though technology has advanced significantly, no process is perfect, and when you're striking billions of coins, even a tiny flaw in alignment, pressure, or planchet preparation can result in an error, and when such an error occurs during a year of transition or redesign like 2006, it becomes even more historically significant, since the coin already represents a milestone in the series, and these factors combined are why the 2006p nickel has risen to legendary status in such a short time. Collectors have identified numerous subcategories of errors for the 2006 nickel, from broad strikes without collars that expand beyond normal size, to strike-through errors where foreign material like grease or debris was present during striking, leaving unusual impressions on the coin, and even rainbow-toned coins that developed unique coloration due to environmental storage conditions. And each of these varieties adds a layer of intrigue and a chance for collectors to chase something unique, further enhancing the mystique of the year. The $26 million price tag may seem unbelievable, but it reflects not only the coin itself but also the stories, the provenance, and the collectors who battled to own it, because in the world of numismatics, value is not just about rarity but also about the emotional connection people form with history, and the 2006p 5 cent is a perfect example of that connection. A coin that represents not just a mistake but a moment in time, frozen forever in nickel and copper, and transformed into a priceless artifact. Next. Today we dive deep into one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern coin collecting, a story that combines the thrill of treasure hunting with the mysteries of minting, and it all centers on the 2013p Jefferson 5 cent coin, a seemingly ordinary nickel minted in Philadelphia that under unique circumstances has become the subject of numismatic legends and auction records, with some examples valued at an astonishing $6 million due to errors, mistakes, and rare variations that make them exceptionally desirable. And as we unpack this story, you will see how a small 5 cent coin could carry the weight of history, intrigue, and life-changing wealth. So let's settle in and explore the world of minting mishaps, error types, and the collector's passion that transforms ordinary change into extraordinary fortune. Because the 2013p nickel is more than just a piece of currency, it is a window into how mistakes at the mint can lead to staggering valuations in the collector's market. And to understand why this particular coin commands such attention, we first must look at the basics of its production, the design, and the history of the Jefferson nickel itself, a series that has been running since 1938, with countless billions struck, and yet only a handful of certain error coins have reached the ranks of legendary status. And the 2013 P issue stands out because while most coins from that year are completely ordinary, a small batch left the Philadelphia Mint carrying errors that were both dramatic and subtle, ranging from doubled dies to off-center strikes, from die cracks to improperly annealed planchets, and even full-on misaligned dies that produced ghost-like impressions of Jefferson's face, creating a class of nickels that collectors immediately recognized as potential rarities, and as the buzz grew so too did the demand. And when the first of these coins hit the auction circuit, the prices skyrocketed, eventually leading to headlines that some were selling for amounts in the millions, with the rarest examples commanding up to $6 million, a staggering leap from face value that begs the question, what kind of errors and mistakes could possibly justify such a valuation? And the answer lies in a combination of rarity, collector fascination, historical significance, and the sheer improbability of the flaws that occurred during production, because error coins are like lightning in a bottle, the result of a unique set of circumstances that are almost impossible to replicate, making each surviving specimen a one-of-a-kind treasure. So let's explore the types of errors that make the 2013 P5 cent so valuable, beginning with one of the most widely discussed, the double die error, where the dies used to strike the coin shifted slightly during production, creating a doubling effect that can be seen most often on Jefferson's eye, the lettering of "In God We Trust," or the word "Liberty," and this doubling is not just a minor blemish but an unmistakable doubling that collectors can easily spot, and when such an error is crisp and well-defined it becomes incredibly rare, with very few examples making it into circulation. And the story continues with off-center strikes, where the planchet, or blank coin disc, is not properly seated in the press and the resulting strike produces a coin with part of its design missing or shifted, creating an instantly recognizable error that ranges from mild to extreme, with the most dramatic off-center strikes being the most valuable, especially when the date and mint mark remain fully visible, allowing the coin to be authenticated as a 2013 P issue. And then there are die cracks, which occur when the dies themselves begin to wear and fracture under the immense pressure of the minting process, leaving raised lines or jagged patterns across the coin's surface. And while minor die cracks are common, the 2013 P has been found with spectacular cracks running across Jefferson's portrait or Monticello, turning each coin into a unique piece of art created accidentally by the stress of machinery. And these dramatic die breaks are often called cuds when large pieces of the die break away entirely, leaving blank areas on the coin where design elements should have been, and such dramatic errors always command a premium. But the Philadelphia Mint also produced some 2013 P nickels with improperly annealed planchets, meaning the metal blanks were not properly heat-treated before striking, resulting in strange colorations, streaks, and surface textures that make these nickels stand out immediately when compared to ordinary examples. And beyond these there are instances of misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse designs do not properly line up, leading to Jefferson's bust being slightly rotated or Monticello appearing off-kilter. And while slight misalignments are not especially rare, extreme examples are incredibly desirable, particularly when combined with other errors, because compound errors on a single coin are the rarest of the rare. And the 2013 P series happens to have a handful of such specimens, including coins that exhibit doubling, off-centering, and die cracks all in one, a trifecta of errors that ensures massive collector interest. And when one such coin surfaced, authenticated by grading companies like PCGS and NGC, it shattered expectations at auction, climbing into the millions and cementing the 2013 P5 cent as one of the most valuable modern nickels ever known. And what makes this story even more captivating is the possibility factor, because while many errors are documented, there is always the potential that new, undiscovered variations are still out there in circulation, waiting to be found by someone checking their pocket change. And that possibility fuels the treasure hunt mentality among collectors, who examine every nickel they encounter from 2013 Philadelphia in hopes of discovering the next multi-million-dollar specimen. And this element of mystery adds to the excitement, because each time you glance at a nickel you could be holding a fortune. And it is this very idea that has driven countless people to dig through rolls of coins from banks, scour flea markets, and trade with other hobbyists, creating a surge of interest in modern era coins that shows no signs of slowing down. And the story also speaks to the broader history of minting errors, as they have fascinated collectors for centuries, from the famous 1955 double die cent to the 1937 three-legged buffalo nickel. And now the 2013 P joins their ranks as a symbol of how even in the modern era of precise machinery, human oversight and mechanical imperfection can still lead to astonishing mistakes. And as collectors know, It is those mistakes that transform a humble 5-cent coin into a $6 million treasure, and what's more fascinating is that these coins are not just anomalies, they are tangible proof of the complexities and challenges of the minting process, because every coin that leaves the mint is the product of countless variables, from the quality of the metal blanks to the wear and tear of the dies, to the calibration of the machinery, and even the attentiveness of the workers, and when any of these variables slip out of alignment, errors occur, sometimes so subtle they escape detection until they land in the hands of an eagle-eyed collector, and other times so dramatic that they appear more like art than currency, and the 2013 P series encapsulates all of this, which is why its legacy continues to grow, and even beyond the technical aspects, the coin has become a cultural touchstone, a reminder that value is not always tied to material worth but to rarity, demand, and the stories we tell, because what makes a $6 million coin truly priceless is not just the era but the journey of discovery, the auctions that ignite bidding wars, the collectors who dedicate years to the search, and the thrill of finding a piece of history hiding in plain sight. And so when we talk about the 2013 P nickel, we are talking about far more than just an era coin. We are talking about a symbol of chance, luck, and the extraordinary possibilities hidden within the ordinary, and that is why so many people continue to search, continue to hope, and continue to believe that they too might one day stumble upon the next great discovery, a small 5-cent piece that changes their life forever. And as you reflect on this story, remember that every coin in your pocket has a history, every scratch and mark tells a tale, and sometimes, just sometimes, that tale is worth millions, and that is the magic of coin collecting, where history, mystery, and fortune collide in the palm of your hand. So thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of the 2013 P5 cent, a coin that proves mistakes can be priceless. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into numismatic history and the thrill of rare coin hunting, be sure to stay with us for more amazing stories, because there is always another discovery waiting just around the corner, and who knows, maybe the next legendary coin is already in your change jar at home, waiting to be found. Last, we dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting, a story that revolves around a seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change that has captured the imagination of collectors, treasure hunters, and numismatic enthusiasts all over the world, the 1994 P Jefferson 5-cent coin, a coin that at face value is worth only 5 cents, yet through a combination of rare mistakes, minting errors, and mysterious circumstances, has been valued by some collectors and auction houses at a jaw-dropping $15 million, a figure so astonishing that it immediately raises the question of how such a humble nickel could possibly become worth so much money. And in this journey together we will peel back the layers of history, minting technology, human error, collector demand, and market speculation to uncover the secrets behind this remarkable coin. Because what makes this 1994 P5 cent coin so special is not simply that it is old or rare in the traditional sense, but rather that it carries within it the fingerprints of error, the scars of imperfection, and the mystique of being something that was never meant to exist in the form it did, which in the world of numismatics transforms a common coin into a priceless artifact. To truly understand why the 1994 P nickel could reach such staggering value, we must first step into the world of coin production at the Philadelphia Mint in the mid-1990s, a time when the Jefferson nickel design was still being produced after decades of circulation, and the mint was tasked with striking hundreds of millions of nickels to satisfy the demand of everyday commerce, meaning that quality control was crucial but also extremely challenging, because when billions of coins are being produced annually across different mints, the possibility for mistakes always exists, and sometimes these mistakes are caught and destroyed, while other times they slip through the cracks and enter circulation, unknowingly becoming treasures waiting to be discovered. And the 1994 P5 cent is a perfect example of how those rare mistakes can snowball into immense value. Among the most discussed errors associated with the 1994 P nickel is the double die error, a condition where during the minting process, the die used to strike the coin shifts or misaligns ever so slightly, creating a doubling effect on the letters, numbers, or features of the coin. And while minor doubling may occur in many issues and hold only modest collector interest, a dramatic and clear double die on a coin like the 1994 P nickel transforms it from pocket change into a work of minting history, with some examples showing noticeable doubling on the inscription such as "I in God We Trust" or "Liberty" or the year 1994 itself, details that are immediately visible under magnification and in some cases even to the naked eye, giving the coin an appearance that collectors crave because such dramatic mint errors are rare. And the rarity combined with the desirability of the Jefferson series magnifies the demand and therefore the value. Another error tied to the 1994 P nickel is the off-center strike, a condition where the blank planchet is not properly centered between the dies during striking, causing the design to appear shifted or incomplete, and depending on the degree of the off-center strike, the coin can become exponentially more valuable, with some examples of the 1994 P being struck as much as 50% off-center, leaving part of the coin blank while the rest of the design is distorted, a type of error that collectors are always on the lookout for, because it illustrates the fragility of the minting process and the beauty of imperfection, and in the case of this coin, the rarity of such a large off-center strike on a nickel has made it highly desirable. Then there are the planchet errors, which further add to the intrigue, as sometimes a nickel could be struck on the wrong type of planchet, such as being accidentally minted on a copper cent planchet or even on a foreign coin blank, resulting in a coin that is not only visually striking due to its wrong weight, color, and metallic composition, but also incredibly rare because such errors are seldom allowed to escape the mint, and yet a handful of 1994 P nickels with such planchet anomalies have been rumored or documented to exist, making them highly coveted in the numismatic community. Even more fascinating is the presence of die cracks, cuds, and lamination errors on some examples of the 1994 P nickel, where flaws in the dies or the metal itself resulted in raised lines, missing sections of design, or peeling layers of metal, each of which transforms an otherwise ordinary coin into a conversation piece that tells the story of how the minting process can fail in unexpected ways. And these imperfections, while unintentional, create uniqueness, and uniqueness drives value. When we consider how these various errors, double dies, off-center strikes, planchet anomalies, die cracks, and laminations, combine with the fact that relatively few of these flawed coins manage to survive circulation in collectible condition, it becomes clear why the 1994 P 5 cent has achieved such legendary status among collectors, but that is only half the story, because beyond the physical errors themselves lies the world of speculation, collector psychology, and market dynamics, all of which play an enormous role in pushing the value of a coin like this into the millions. The psychology of coin collecting is deeply tied to the human desire for rarity, ownership of something that no one else has, and in the case of the 1994 P nickel, the knowledge that this is not just a coin but a mistake preserved forever in metal, a mistake that slipped through the hands of mint workers, escaped destruction, traveled through the economy, and eventually ended up in the hands of someone astute enough to recognize its significance, and that journey itself imbues the coin with a sense of destiny, making it more than just metal but rather a story encapsulated in 5 grams of copper and nickel. Auction houses and private collectors have amplified this mystique by competing fiercely whenever a 1994 P nickel with major errors appears for sale, driving prices upward as scarcity meets demand, and as media outlets and numismatic publications report on these sales, the legend grows, attracting new collectors, investors, and enthusiasts who dream of discovering such a coin in their own pocket change, fueling the cycle of demand and pushing valuations into the stratosphere. The possibility of finding a fortune in everyday change is a powerful motivator, and stories of coins like the 1994 P nickel selling for millions only encourage more people to search, leading to greater awareness and even higher prices as the market for these rarities expands. And while skeptics may argue that no nickel should ever be worth $15 million, the reality is that in the world of collectibles, value is not dictated by face value but by rarity, demand, and narrative, and the 1994 P nickel has all three in abundance. To illustrate how such a valuation could be reached, consider that in the world of numismatics, precedent exists for coins achieving extraordinary values, such as the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, of which only 5 are known to exist, each commanding millions of dollars at auction, or the 1943 copper cent, a mistake that has sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when compared to these legendary coins, the 1994 P nickel with dramatic errors finds itself in similar company, because while it may not be as old, its errors and rarity make it equally significant to collectors of modern coinage, and when the market perceives significance, price inevitably follows. There is also the factor of condition, as coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at high levels of mint state are always worth significantly more than their circulated counterparts, and when a 1994 P nickel with major errors also survives in mint state condition, free of scratches, wear, or corrosion, its value skyrockets, because not only is the error itself rare, but the preservation of that error in pristine form is exponentially rarer, and it is this intersection of rarity and condition that produces record-breaking prices, in this case culminating in valuations of up to $15 million for the finest known examples. But beyond the technicalities and the market forces, the true value of the 1994p nickel lies in what it represents, which is the idea that imperfection can be perfection, that mistakes can become treasures, and that something as mundane as a nickel can embody history, art, chance, and destiny all at once, making it a symbol of why people collect coins in the first place, to preserve the extraordinary in the ordinary and to connect with the story of money as more than currency but as a cultural artifact. As we reflect on this, it becomes clear that the 1994p nickel is not just a piece of metal worth 5 cents but a multimillion-dollar lesson in how rarity, error, and human fascination combine to create value where none was expected, and it serves as a reminder that treasures can still be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those who know what to look for. So the next time you receive a nickel and change, take a closer look, because you never know if you might be holding history in your hand. And with that, we wrap up today's deep dive into the incredible story of the 1994p Jefferson 5-cent coin, a coin that through its errors, mistakes, and mysteries has become one of the most valuable nickels in existence, worth as much as $15 million and cherished as a modern marvel of numismatic lore. In 1994,